yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche. Voilà le portrait. This movement lasted from 1919 to 1929. French Impressionist cinema, also referred to as the first avant-garde or narrative avant-garde, is a term applied to a group of French films and filmmakers of the 1920s. So here's a list of films created during this movement, including El Dorado, which we'll be looking at later in this presentation. The characteristics of French Impressionism are art, flashback and fantasy, superimposition, slow motion, camera movement, as well as distortions. Art. The movement was developed by a new generation of filmmakers who sought to explore cinema as an art. They saw art as a form of expression conveying the personal vision of the artist. Art also helps to build the experiences and lead to the emotions. Art creates an impression and feeling. Flashback and fantasy. The interest of French Impressionists was not on external physical behavior, but on inner action. Impressionist films manipulate plot and time and subjectivity through flashbacks. It is very common, and sometimes there might be a series of flashbacks that sequence the film. Superimposition. This is when two or more images are placed over each other in a frame. This effect can be accomplished by exposing the same piece of film more than once, as we see with double exposure effect. Superimposition may convey a character's thought or memories. Slow motion. This is the visual depiction of mental states in French Impressionist film through cinematography and editing. This includes slow motion shots to focus on a significant element in a character's subjectivity. Camera movement. It can affect how the audience feels when watching a character perform. Shaky camera movements after a big argument can indicate anger. However, it can also represent excitement. When people are in an excited state, they are usually very upbeat and energetic. Using a smooth or slow camera movement would not be able to present the feeling of that moment. Distortions. This might be used in a film to show the occurrence of an event or incident that is out of the ordinary. When a character in an Impressionist film gets drunk or dizzy, the filmmaker shows the experience through distorted or filtered shots, or vertiginous camera movements. The movement gained the name Impressionist because the filmmakers wanted to give their narration subjective depth. It would capture the impressions that flit through a character's mind. The directors wanted to present the character's feelings or emotion by putting more effort on the intimate psychological stories instead of on the narrative dialogue. We can say that an Impressionist film preferred to explore the inner life of the character, but not through the external action. There was never a concerted effort to coordinate films under a specific set of guidelines. Over the 10 years of the movement, the film moved around the concepts of creating an experience that leads to an emotional impression. Impressionism focused on the theory of photogeny, which is the unique quality that objects will take on when they are photographed. It focused on framing and optical effects instead of narrative storytelling. The film we'll be looking at today is El Dorado, directed by Marcel L'Herbier in 1921. El Dorado is characterized by high production quality. Its most striking aspect is the invention of new elements of the cinematographic language. L'Herbier uses distortions of the images to convey different messages or impressions. The faces of drinkers become distorted as they become drunk. Sibylla's face becomes blurred as she thinks about her sick child. Other characteristics. The point of view shot was a new technique that put the spectator in the middle of the action. He shares Sibylla's feelings when she is thrown out of the house by the servants of her son's father, or those of characters locked at night in the Alhambra. POV shots are also used to show various characters remembering what they have experienced. The editing is very modern. Crowd scenes are filmed from different points of view, alternating very rapidly wide shots and close-ups focusing on the expression of some of the characters. This includes an old man or a group of women with their children. Sequences are linked in an original way by fading to white masks, or by blurring out. L'Herbier innovates camera movements using tracking shots or panning, sometimes very fast, to follow characters. By contrast, shots with a static camera are very carefully composed and lit. L'Herbier fully uses the opportunity to shoot the film on location in Spain. Granada, Seville, and the Sierra Nevada are locations used to realize beautiful pictures of landscapes and indoor scenes. This especially in the Alhambra Palace in Granada, often accompanied by unusual camera angles and lighting. He also includes some footage of Semana Santa, Easter week, celebrations in the streets of Sevilla.